This is the first Tuesday of the month Waupaca City Council meeting.
6 o'clock, let's begin the council meeting. I do call this regular city council meeting to order, and let's begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, and we'll ask Sandy to read the clerk's open meeting statement for us.
This meeting and all meetings of the Common Council are open to the public. Proper notice has been posted and given to the press in accordance with Wisconsin state statutes so that citizens may be aware of the time, place, and agenda of this meeting.
And also take roll for us, Sandy.
Brian Smith.
Here.
Steve Hackett. Here. Lori Chestnut.
Here.
Paul Hagan.
Here.
Alan Keeland.
Here.
Scott Perchatsky.
Here.
Dave Peterson.
Here.
Paul Mayo.
Here.
Chuck Whitman.
Here.
Mary Fair.
Here.
And Eric Olson.
Here.
10 present. We have a quorum.
Thank you, Sandy. Next up is our consent agenda. This is for items that we vote on with one motion. Unless there's a council member or staff that would like to see any of those items moved to the regular agenda. Council, staff, any items that you would like to see moved? If not, we'd be looking for a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Keelan, second by Chestnut, that we approve of the consent agenda as printed. Discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carried. Under the regular agenda, we have the addendum that you should have received yesterday that was emailed to you, and then it was also uploaded to our website. And I am going to ask that we move the addenda up to the beginning of the meeting, so right before unfinished business, after public input and right before unfinished business, I'd like to take care of that addendum number 1. It's the only addendum that we'll have. And then also, before you make a motion, we need to scratch number 9 under new business, that application for a temporary Class B license that's being withdrawn at this time. That's it, Sandy? Okay. Anybody else for the good of the agenda? We need a motion then to approve the amended agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Whitman, second by Peterson, that we approve the regular agenda with those amendments. Discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carried. All right, let's go to public input, actually. This is a time in the meeting where if anybody would like to speak to the council on an item that's not on the agenda tonight, please step up to the podium, give your name and address for the record, and limit your time to 3 minutes or less.
Got something, Mayor?
Yes, sir.
Well, first off, I'd like to commend the city crew for the job they've been doing, plowing snow and taking care of all the streets and stuff. I've had a few complaints, but I think I don't even have to pass them along. Been taking care of them myself. But I have
You've been shoveling for them? What a guy.
What a guy, yeah.
no, but when they complain about the ice and it's below zero, the ice doesn't work when it's below zero. So everybody has
Sure.
to just understand.
Sure, absolutely.
But I got to complain about a lot of the residents of the city of Waupaca that when it's snowing out, they set their garbage cans out in the middle of the road, and then the poor snowplow drivers have to fly around them. And then we have to suffer after the garbage man has come by because the road's not. So I wish they would keep them in their driveways. If we could put something maybe in the water bill or something, tell them to keep them in their driveways, don't set them out in the middle of the road. So they can pull their cars out of the driveway and then set the garbage cans in the driveway instead of putting them out in the middle of the road and then leave them for work during the day.
Yeah, great idea.
It is terrible out there when it's garbage day. You're trying to get through town and you can't because there's garbage cans in the middle of the road. And I know the city plow drivers do not like that either, big time. My opinion, they should be legal, fair, and mow them all down.
This is a former snowplow driver, of course, that we're talking to.
And in the country, they were legal, fair. But I understand if they knock one over, they get reprimanded, and that is not right either. That's all
All
I have
right.
to say right now.
Good. Thank you, Chuck, and duly noted, we'll get that in the packet. Hopefully, it's too late for this year, because
I hope so,
our next
too.
one comes out in April, but we'll hope for
Something to
that.
think about for next year.
Absolutely. Thank you. Any other public input? All right, let's move on then. Actually, this will move us to that addendum. And that's separate item in your packet. So addendum number one, this is the reconsideration of resolution number 1423, a resolution of necessity for acquisition of land for Veterans Park. And just real brief, quick, we're talking about the Verna's property, which is just outside the library on Jefferson Street. And Steve Johnson, who is on the board of directors of Bank First National, would like to just tell you the update on that property. Thanks, Steve.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and good evening. My name is Steve Johnson. I'm here this evening on behalf of Bank First NA, and I want to extend my appreciation for your affording me the opportunity to address the council. Bank First respectfully requests the council reconsider Resolution 1423, which was adopted at the Common Council meeting on January 15, 2019. Bank First has been in negotiations to purchase the property at 105 Jefferson Street since last summer. For reference, the tax key number on the subject property is 3319822220. As a result of multiple discussions with the owner of the property, Bank First purchased the property that is subject of Resolution 1423. The sale was closed on February 28, 2019. The bank has had a long desire to acquire and improve the appearance of the property that adjoins our property located at 111 Jefferson Street to the benefit of the bank, the neighboring areas, and the downtown of Waupaca as a whole. We're planning an extensive remodel of our facility at 111 Jefferson Street. The remodel is targeted to begin in April of 2019. A part of that remodel includes a plan for additional green space around our facility. The intent of the bank is to raise the structures on the newly acquired property at 105 Jefferson Street. We would like to work with the city to plan how the city might like to use a portion of that property, be it green space, a park, or a memorial to our veterans. However, with the existence of Resolution 1423, we are not able to proceed with raising the property at 105 Jefferson Street as we plan. We thus respectfully request the council reconsider and rescind Resolution 1423. Thank you. I appreciate your time and consideration.
Thank you, Steve. And I've asked Brennan and Henry to just team lead this, just so you can understand the process that we need to take to be able to rescind that if council desires to do that. Okay? Brennan.
Thank you, Mayor, members of council. Again, this is in your packet. We have had consultation with our legal counsel about the process, so we do need to lay out some facts tonight if the council does decide to reconsider 1423. As all of you are aware, we approached the Common Council, last year. The community and the council has adopted multiple plans for the downtown and identified that area as a potential redevelopment site. And further, with the discussions that we've had with the veterans group, an opportunity for a memorial at that site. We, on multiple occasions, did try to contact the property owner with no avail, and the council, with action last year, did approve staff to move forward with the process of utilizing eminent domain in order to condemn the property. Again, there's two purposes for that at that time. One, it is a blighted property. I think everyone agrees with that. It was a challenging property for many years that we have tried to, even before I got here, the city tried to acquire and was unsuccessful in doing that. And the building continued to deteriorate, and we were unsuccessful in reaching the property owner to try to find a resolution with at least trying to fix it up and close it out. The second reason that we were looking to utilize the condemnation process was for the opportunity for parkland at that site. Again, the resolution that was passed, 1423, identified that site as a necessity for park purposes, with hopefully to honor, create a Veterans Memorial in partnership with the veterans group that approached the city. We did have multiple public hearings on this. This was brought to the Plan Commission back in 2018, and there was no comments made at that time. And we have a majority of the Plan Commission members here this evening as well. We also did have a public hearing in front of the Common Council, which no comments were made at that time regarding that process. We have had discussions with the bank over since last year when we started even with our reconstruction project around City Hall Square, and believe that they are dedicated to helping with the city and hopefully the Veterans Group to create a place there. So the request that's in front of you this evening, I think, is of sincere hope that the bank's going to work with us and move forward with us, and their request, I think, is suitable for the council to take action on this evening.
Henry?
Mayor and Brennan, good job. You summed up the key points. Thank you.
I didn't really fully understand the idea behind the resolution, but that resolution actually becomes part of the deed of the, how does that work?
Correct, because we are required per state statutes to file that against the property. So at the time that we passed the resolutions from the Plan Commission and Common Council, it was filed with the Waupaca County Register of Deeds Office and the county clerk for that process. Again, that's just a statutory requirement for notification when a municipality does start a condemnation process on that property.
And hence the request from Bank First to be able to move forward with raising the property and being able to use it for themselves. Right now, that deed restriction is still sitting on that property. So by rescinding Resolution 1423, that would pull it off the deed, and they would be then free and clear to do what they choose to do with that property. Does that make sense? Any questions? Dave, go ahead.
I think it looks like a win-win from what I'm getting here, because we were gonna condemn the thing, and we'd be charged with tearing it down, et cetera, et cetera. Mr. Johnson is, up front with us and says the bank may let us use part of it for a park, whatever is necessary. I think it'd be great.
Yeah.
We do look forward to the continued conversations, between the bank and the city, and hopefully the veterans group, that is going to be a potential at that site. Those conversations will be commencing in the future here.
Yeah. Awesome. Any other comments, questions? Since Mr. Johnson is here tonight, I do want to thank him because he put in a lot of effort to get this to move forward, and we've had some difficult times trying to even contact the owner of that property, and so I know the efforts that Steve went through to get this. So it's like Dave said, it's a win-win. So with that, then we would be looking for a motion to rescind resolution number 1423.
So move. Second.
Motion by Hackett, second by Chestnut, that council rescind resolution number 1423. That was a resolution of necessity for acquisition of land for what we were calling the Veterans Park. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carried. Thanks, Andy.
Thank you.
Steve, thank you again. All right, let's move on then to unfinished business. We have an update on our deer hunt.
Thanks, Mayor. Alderman Keelan reached out to me, just was curious to see how things were going with our deer hunt. Just to refresh your memory, we did request permission from the DNR to conduct the hunt from January 15th to March 31. We initially took out 16 tags. To date, we have killed 4 deer. I think the weather has played a little havoc with us, because Roger Hanson is kind of our coordinator and he's had his attentions to other things. But he's committed to getting those 16 tags used up, and he's helped select the hunters. And so he's real confident that if he can get back on it, that we'll be able to continue the process. So I'm happy to report back at the end of the hunt on March 31, I'll let you know kind of the final outcome. Do you have any questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Henry. Hey, I want to, if you don't mind, I want to backtrack a little bit, Brennan, because I think maybe we need to understand, now that we've rescinded that resolution, what does the city do to make sure that that deed gets off of the property?
We'll be working with our attorney to file a document against that, since it is actually recorded against the property. We'll work with our attorney and the bank to get a document to rescind that off the property.
Okay, and that will be done ASAP?
Yes, I will
All right,
speak with Steve tomorrow.
all right. Thank you.
Yep.
All right, then we're skipping, we're to new business now. 9A is been pulled off the agenda, so we can go to 9B. And this is a resolution for a borrow. It's resolution number 1426. And Kathy, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Council. I have very good news on the sale and issuance of our $1,555,000 general obligation promissory notes. Brian Riegel from R.W. Baird, our city financial advisor, is here tonight to go over the bond sale. In your packet was a list of the projects under 2019 that we borrowed for, which was $55,000 for the phone system upgrade, $100,000 for the continuing engineering costs for Main Street reconstruction, $40,000 to start the engineering costs for the reconstruction of Granite Streets and the alleys behind Main Street, Evans Street's reconstruction project, a seal coat for Apple Tree and Farm Drive, which is in conjunction with the town of Waupaca. Land purchase of $230,000, that was to reimburse us for the purchase of the Midtown Motors property. $160,000 for a new snow blower, which we probably need. And $300,000 to start the engineering and design of a salt shed on the Public Works Garage future site. So that's $1,550,000, and we rounded it an extra $5,000 to make the bonds even. So, but I'm going to turn it over to Brian, and he's going to go over the sale information on the bonds.
Okay, well, I did hand out a final pricing summary presentation. So if you can find that I distributed to each of you. On page 2, I'll go over the issue summary that was done this morning. As Kathy mentioned, excellent sale for the city. You realized an excellent interest rate, and savings are going to be substantial that I'll go over in a little bit. But the issue summary that you'll see on page 2 there, as Kathy just mentioned, you're looking for a little over $1.5 million that you need for your projects. And this is a 10-year issuance, a note. It's going to settle. The city will receive the funds on March 26th for the projects. It's a 10-year issuance, as I mentioned, so the maturities are from March 1st of 2020 through 2029. That's being shown on the page 2. Your first interest payment will be March 1st of next year. There is a call date that was put into place as normal with most of your issuance. And this is for investor protection and the city. So the first 5 years are non-callable, but then there is a first call date in March 1st of 2025 through 2029. Any dates from March 1st of 2025 or thereafter, you have the ability to call the bonds. The rating that you received was an A+ rating, and I'll talk a little bit more about the ratings from Standard & Poor's, but it's the Standard & Poor's had an excellent credit rating with the city and maintained your AA+ or an A-plus rating with a stable outlook, which is what they had previously rated the city at. So you maintain that. And that obviously attracted investors out there to give you an interest rate of 2.67%, which is a fantastic interest rate at this time. You hit the market at the ideal time. Municipal bonds out there are in high demand. And that was shown in the interest rate that was given and the premium that the city received on the issue this morning. You were able to pay all your issuance costs from that premium, and then there was additional little under 20,000 that was used that we can use for your first principal and interest payment on March 1st of next year, and then we'll show that in the next page. The benchmark we had kind of been using all along, and I think Justin Fisher was here in November and talked to you. We were using the State Trust Fund loan program. If you would have done this today at the State Trust Fund loan, you would have been looking at an interest rate of 4.5%. So you almost have a 200 less basis points, and that generates to a savings of about $177,000 in issuance debt principal and interest costs that you will not have to pay with that lower interest rate. So excellent results there. The next page just shows, I know it's very small because it's even hard for me to read, but it shows the structure of the issue of the 1.5 million, and you can see in that second bracketed area, total interest costs came to $280,415 with your 2.67% interest rate. What was projected back in November with the 3.75 that was being looked at back then was interest costs of $377,800. So with that differential plus an additional $19,000 of excess premium, that's how the $117,000 in additional debt service savings was realized. The balance of the handout that I submitted to you is the full rating summary that we received from Standard & Poor's. And Standard & Poor's, I'll just comment a few key points that they looked at in giving your stable rating of an A+. Good economy, strong management with good financial policies and practices, strong budgetary performance, operating surpluses in the general fund was key, a very strong budget flexibility, the available fund balance that was shown at the end of 2017, and your very strong liquidity. So they felt Waupaca maintained a strong history of stable operating performance, complete with high reserves, strong management team, and implementation of a number of robust policies and practices, and maintaining an operational stability in the local economy has experienced a fair amount of growth. Those were kind of the key points that gave them the rationale to give you the A+ stable outlook rating. And that obviously attracted a great interest rate then for the city. So that's a summary of the excellent results today for the bonds.
Thank you, Brian.
Questions?
Any questions? I do have one.
Yes.
And just because I'm interested in this, but why, you said at the beginning about the investors are looking at municipal. Why is that?
Because of the tax situation right now, and right now everyone's in their tax determination, and the investors are, this was the perfect, I was telling Kathy, you hit the market at the perfect time because the investors out there are looking for a municipal for their portfolio.
Sure.
One of the other things that I had heard on the news was that the reason that the market dropped yesterday was because of lack of spending by governmental entities. The muni market was down. And so us coming to the market today after that drop probably helped us in getting a better rate. But everybody is doing their income taxes now and realizing that they need to find some tax-exempt bonds again.
That was the main rationale I was given today with the underwriting desk from Baird that it was the tax situation.
Are these double tax exempt too, or we don't know that yet?
Yeah, they would be,
Federal and state?
they would be double tax exempt because we're not giving them, this is all for us.
Okay,
Yes.
awesome.
Yep, the answer is yes.
Thank you. Thanks.
So it was a good time to hit the market.
Thank you.
Reflected in your rate.
So the second handout you had, which has to do with that, is that resolution
That
1426.
is the final resolution. The one that was in the packet was the draft resolution that bond council required us to put out there before the sale of the bonds. And this is the final resolution that was on your desk tonight. And that includes all of the bond documents attached in the back of it, the underwriter certificates and the coupons and that. So this is the final version that was on your desk.
Okay. Any questions, council? So, Scott?
I have one about Kathy, and maybe Justin, the 300,000 for Public Works Garage. That's more than just a salt shed, isn't it? Or what, it isn't?
No, that is that is to design and build a brand new salt shed at Habercorn. That's what that was earmarked for.
Seem. All right. Enough.
Okay, let's make sure that you understand though, too, Scott, although this is in our borrow, it still has to come back for council's approval before we can expend that money, right? Okay. All right. Anything else? We need a motion to approve resolution 1426.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Keelan, second by Chestnut, that the council approve resolution number 1426. This is a resolution authorizing issuance and sale of $1.555 million in general obligation promissory notes to finance the 2019 street and public works projects. Discussion. Sandy will call the roll.
Steve Hackett,
Aye.
Paul Hagan,
Aye.
Mary Fair,
Aye.
Alan Keeland,
Aye.
Scott Perchatsky,
Aye.
Chuck Whitman,
Aye.
Dave Peterson,
Aye.
Eric Olson,
Aye.
Paul Mayo,
Aye.
and Lori Chestnut.
Aye.
10 ayes, motion carried.
All right, Brian, thank you very much. Safe trip. All right, next up, Andrew, Riverside Park Project.
Thank you, Mayor, council members. As I've talked about before in past meetings, we are having a few issues that we need to fix at Riverside Park. The main one being the river cutting through the neighboring property, which is the Hanneman property. So what we've been doing is working with the DNR over the past year to come up with a plan to fix that, and then work on some other issues that are happening down there. With the help of the DNR representatives from Wild Rose, we did submit a permit that kind of laid out 7 different steps for this fix, and just to make the area a little bit nicer and to keep the recreation in our park, which is what we're trying to do. I did put those in your packet, but I wanted to go over them a little bit if I can get this stuff to work here. So I just want to go through those 7 steps with you to see if you had any questions as we go through. Everyone see that? It's about as big as I can make it on mine. So if you have questions as we go through, I'll kind of lay them out, and then we'll talk more about, the timing. Jeez Louise. We'll talk more about the timing and how some of these will play out as we move forward a little bit. First picture here is just kind of a guideline of their travel patterns. We did request that they try to go through the parking lot this way a little bit more, as in the springtime this gets very, very wet in here, and we don't want to damage the area we already have. So they agreed to that, and that will be part of what we're doing moving forward. So that's just the step 1. Step 2 in the plan or the permit that we submitted would be removal of exotic woody woody vegetation. There's some different kinds that are on these points, and they want to clean those up and just make sure that that's not spreading as we go through. And you'll see some of that. If you go down there, you'll see it on the Hanneman property as well, unfortunately. Step 3, so if you look as you cross the bridge on Highway 54, to your right, you'll see a lot of debris and trees in the river, and that is a concern. Knowing this was coming, we kind of just left them at this point, but it is part of this plan to cut those out of there, and then what they're actually going to do is use those for stream improvement, trout habitat improvement on the sides. The little pictures they draw don't really give it justice, but it will be kind of up under the bank. It'll give the trout some places to go and hide and be safe at that point. So all that will be cleared out through this area, and those trees will be reused to create trout habitat there. The next step as part of this project would be a temporary stream crossing. All right, so they'll build a temporary stream crossing, so they'll bring in their equipment here. They'll actually build it enough so that they can get across. This is the cut through right here. If you can see right here, this is all washed out right here. So the river's coming through. Get the right screen here. The river's coming through and just barreling through here. So if this doesn't get fixed, this will just become a muddy bog at some point. The river will just run through here, which takes it out of our park, and that's what we're trying to do here. So temporary stream crossing is the next step. Working on shoring that up and making that nice and solid so the river continues to flow through our park is the next step. More exotic woody vegetation removal out there once they get that fixed. And then the next part is these little lines here. That one's not too clear, but riprap and bank sloping. There's some washout areas here created from how the river is flowing now with this cut through. So they'll shore that up, they'll slope it so that it doesn't want to cut out, and then we'll try to work a little bit better at not mowing right to the edge and planting some native grasses here to protect the shoreline as well. So that's the last step there. Any questions on those steps as I kind of rambled through them?
What kind of bridge is that going to be, Andrew? Is it
The temporary bridge, it's essentially they're just building up the rocks. They try to use, we'd be working with folks to use natural rocks from the area or granite from our area, and they just build it up enough to be able to get their equipment across, and then they take some of that back away, and some of it is left in the river as well. So it's not like a actual bridge. Yeah, it's just a temporary rock area that they can get their equipment across. So any other questions on that part? Okay.
Okay, so what you're asking for then tonight, Andrew?
Sure. So we did submit that permit. It was recently approved by both the Wisconsin DNR and the Army Corps of Engineers to move forward as far as the project is laid out with them. Part of the project was money approved in the 2019 capital improvement budget, and that money would go towards the stone and materials to fix the cut through and the bank restoration. That's what we're putting forward towards it. The rest of it is done by the DNR, Trout Unlimited money, and other sources with that. So we'd be working with Falks Brother Construction to get the different materials that we need throughout the project. So what I'm actually requesting tonight would be a recommendation from the Common Council to approve the purchase of materials from Falks Brothers Construction for this park project in the amount not to exceed $10,000, which was part of the 2019 capital improvement budget.
Okay, so Andrew is requesting a motion to approve
Make that
buying
into a
this.
motion not to exceed $10,000.
Second.
Motion by Whitman, second by Hackett, that we purchase materials from Fox Brother Construction for the Riverside Park project in the amount not to exceed $10,000. Any discussion? Sandy will call the roll.
Eric Olson,
Aye.
Alan Keeland,
Aye.
Steve Hackett,
Aye.
Scott Perchatsky,
Aye.
Paul Hagan,
Aye.
Lori Chestnut,
Aye.
Paul Mayo,
Aye.
Mary Fair,
Aye.
Dave Peterson,
Aye.
and Chuck Whitman.
Aye.
10 ayes, motion carried.
Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew. I'm really happy that you approved that because they've already dropped some of the material there, so.
Little miscommunication there. I thought they were going to start a little bit later, but they may have just had the time to do it today. So I'm glad that it's approved as well. So thank you.
Should have told me that before I made
You're right. All right, next we have reapproval of the 8,000, 9,000 building floor resurfacing for the wastewater treatment plant. Justin?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. On page 44, you can see my memo, followed by a new proposal from Crane Engineering. You have already approved our flooring project at the 8,000, 9,000 buildings at wastewater treatment plant. Excuse me, and just to, I guess, rejog your memory, those are our main sludge handling buildings. So we do concrete floors, they're epoxy coated, a lot of kind of nasty material falls on them. So we need to upkeep it. And we had proposed to go with Crane after we got 3 proposals from different vendors. And we thought we had a system that was going to work for us. We had got the approvals, got the contract, had them start. Once they removed the old flooring, basically exposed the concrete underneath, and we saw some conditions that we were not expecting. There was many more cracks than we expected, and water pushing through in various spots. Now, we've never had water push through the floor before, so it's kind of an oddity to us. We don't think, well, it's seasonal. We don't think it's just because of this season or what we're having going on this spring. We do have a sump that runs quite a bit, and the buildings are low on the river. So regardless, once we got it removed, we saw we had something a little bit more than what we anticipated. And Crane Engineering recommended a different type of flooring. Now, this is a polyurethane-based system. It'd be like an 1/8 inch thick, which would be twice as thick as what we were planning on putting down. It's kind of like a grout or a self-leveling grout system. They're recommending it because it's what they would propose in a system where there's water issues, where it would hold back up to 20 psi of water. What their fears is if we apply the epoxy, what will happen is the water will push through, and epoxy won't let water through, so it'll start like bubbling or doming in these spots that we're seeing the water push through now. So we budgeted $25,000 because when we were looking at doing the flooring, we had considered a system similar to this in a wide range. And when we came to sending out requests to these contractors, we settled on the epoxy thinking we'd save a little bit. We thought it'd be good enough because what we had there was epoxy, and now we're changing our mind based on what we're seeing now from removing the old flooring. So it's within our budget, and it's a slight increase. So what I'm looking for council to do is just approve the new proposal and increasing the not to exceed contract from $17,200 up to $21,120 using Crane Engineering, the same contractor that was the low of 3 for the first approval.
Okay, so again, Justin's just asking for an increase from 17.2, not to exceed 17.2 to 21,120. Same contractor.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Olson, second by Perchatsky, that we increase the not to exceed contract award amount to Crane Engineering of Kimberly, Wisconsin for recoating the 8,000, 9,000 building floors at the wastewater treatment plant from 17.2 to 21,120 with funds utilized from the wastewater treatment plant, capital plan. Discussion. Sandy, will call the roll.
Paul Mayo,
Aye.
Scott Perchatsky,
Aye.
Mary Fair,
Aye.
Alan Keeland,
Aye.
Lori Chestnut,
Aye.
Chuck Whitman,
Aye.
Paul Hagan,
Aye.
Eric Olson,
Aye.
Dave Peterson,
Aye.
and Steve Hackett.
Aye.
10 ayes, motion carried.
Thank you, Justin. All right, let's go to page 50. And this is license report 1440. There's one name on there. We're looking for a motion to approve this operator's license.
Move to approve license number 1440.
Second.
Motion by Keelan, second by Fair, that we approve license report 1440. Discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carried. All right. We do not have the number 10 issues projects discussion tonight. Communications, recommendations of the mayor, nothing tonight. So we'd be looking for a motion to go to convene into closed session.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Hagan, second by Keelan, that we convene into closed session in accordance with Wisconsin State Statute, Section 19.85, Parent 1, Parent C, to consider employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility, specifically as it concerns the annual evaluation of the city administration. Any discussion? Sandy will call the roll.
Lori Chestnut,
Aye.
Scott Perchatsky,
Aye.
Dave Peterson,
Aye.
Paul Mayo,
Aye.
Alan Keeland,
Aye.
Steve Hackett,
Aye.
Mary Fair,
Aye.
Chuck Whitman,
Aye.
Paul Hagan,
Aye.
and Eric Olson.
Aye.
10 ayes, motion carried.
All right, awesome, thanks. Department heads, you are asked to leave at this time, including Henry and